RNG, even though it's many years from that big rivalry moment, it still is a very important one in the legacy of the LPL. I'm Mazel, I'm joined by Alk Battery. I've got Kelsey Moser with us as well. First pick of the Lilia coming through for EDG, who are all on the blue side.
Kindred ban, I'm depressed. Why watch? I'm sad.
It's the last game, man.
I know. That's why we're in a draft already. They wanted to make sure that we're keeping on pace.
They want to get it going.
We still got 2 other series after this, remember? So they want to be at least a little kind to all the folks that are around the world watching. But already, again, like you said, Xiaohao getting that Lilia. AD mids, though, especially for EDG, a little cramped. So start to have to think about either something like a Corki or potentially a Tristana later in this draft. A good flex between him and On.
Sometimes I don't think blue side is OP. Sometimes I just think something happens to teams when they go on red side and draft, and they're like, yes, we need the first pick Alistar. This just needs to happen.
It just has to happen.
Yep.
The Renekton and the Azir have been double locked in for EDG, though.
Yep, so we'll have a lot of skirmishing around top side probably. Alistar probably is signaling that RNG are willing to kind of allow the jungle to have control around top sides to let that matchup be volatile.
Oh, and we're getting Tangyuan again with the Aurelion Soul there, showing off. We saw it in the OMG series as well. Want to try to bring some scaling into this game, and alongside not only the slow, but with the amount of lockdown that RNG have, there's going to be a lot of Stardust, hopefully, that he'll be able to get from his passive.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I know that we'll get a chance to talk about the kind of team compositional setups, but Tangyuan's feeling himself, and I love it. This is the kind of moments you want to have. Again, this is the last setup for these teams, at least for EDG before they get into the playoff play-in, but for RNG for the rest of the year. As a player, personally, you got to set yourself up for success. You got to make yourself look as good as possible, and I love that Tangyuan is trying to bring out a little bit of flavor here for himself. In the second phase of Banzo, it is all bot lane focus.
Absolutely. I think if we're talking about bot lane focus, right, then this is definitely an angle where we can see some differences being made, because right now we have a very easy situation for Asol to kind of scale, to kind of vibe. Asol into Azir matchup is one of the less punishing ones, so I assume RNG by picking okay. Jax. If you can't get the Kindred, I think if you're a milkyway fan, you're a really big fan of seeing the Jax here. That was probably his second most successful champion last year, so very cool to see.
But does it work into what EDG have, though? Like, fine, you're going to be playing into like a Renekton and kind of, maybe some of the lower range of some of the other members of EDG, but like there's an Azir who can kind of shuffle you away. There's still this Lilia that's a little question mark ping. I'm a bit worried here. We're getting a Corki and a Nautilus now. Corki has early skirmishing, but just across the globe has not been performing admirably. Has like a 30 or 5 something % win rate right now across the world, so hasn't really been working out. EDG are going to have massive spikes on 1 and 2 items here.
All right. Go ahead.
I do think, however, though, you're going to be doing a lot of ability-based damage, and you're keeping the theme of the range versus the Jax. And plus, if you're blinding Alistar, right, then Corki knows he's going to have a somewhat free laning phase. So definitely an option there.
It absolutely is. I know something that Alk wanted to talk about coming into the series was the spot lane matchup between On and JiaQi. Coming into this one, it is going to be an interesting one nonetheless, of Corki versus the Sivir. But what is your take on this bot lane, more so specifically the bot laners individually as we come into it, Kelsey?
I mean, EDG should just win by default. They have 2 bot laners playing against JiaQi. Like, how can win? There's two marksman players, but we came into the series thinking not only the experience of EDG, but especially between On and Wink, should be able to take control of a bottom lane that has 2 relatively fresh players to the LPL, and JiaQi and Niket. Niket having a lot more experience playing last year, but so far I think that JiaQi and Niket have at least shown some mechanical prowess in these 2v2s, and with now the Sivir and Nautilus, or Sivir and Alistar, they need to play a much slower game this time around. It's a hyper carry with this Sivir. Is going to be really, really good at, I think, kind of leveraging some of the range that EDG have, and hopefully we see from RNG that they're actually able to kind of slow this game down. You have an Aurelion Sol and a Sivir. If we get to like 35 minutes, hopefully you should be advantaged in this game.
That means we get a lot of story time, right, Kelsey?
Oh,
Yeah,
Mbessa jungle.
absolutely.
Wait, what?
So
Oh,
it is going to
it's
be
Jack's
the
time. Okay.
Mbessa jungle here coming in. We thought RNG might be cooking. They do indeed cook a little bit. The final game of this RNG squad of the year. An historic legacy organization in Royal Never Give Up that has been there from the start as Star Horn Royal Club, and now potentially going into their last series, their last game of 2025 and potentially beyond. We gotta throw that in there. We'll see as EDG try to take them down one more time.
This
I think
is the
Alk and
first
I are
Mbessa
doing the same
jungle
thing.
ever.
There it is.
In Tier 1 anyway. I know that some of the LCK CL players have played it. Most notably a player like Vincenzo on T1's Challengers team. But why is milkyway playing Mbessa? Like, this is a team that now has played Mbessa in 3 roles. Xiaoxu, Tangyuan, and milkyway now. I don't know how much it's going to matter. Mbessa, depending on what build he goes, if it's more of like a bruiser-esque build with the Eclipse or in the Spear of Shojin, can also go for the Cyclo Sword and be an assassin. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. We're seeing most of them go for Conqueror or Grasp. We kind of dropped the Electrocute Mbessa very early on.
On the plus side, we were questioning the Jax jungle pick. If Jax basically is just there to play against the Renekton, have decent early levels, then at 2 items, just keep side pressure, which was kind of RNG's MO in last game, then Jax maybe serves a bit more of a purpose in top lane.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll see if we end up getting a little bit of that top lane focus. Right now we're looking at the 2v2 kicking off. Obviously level 2 very important between them, but love to see the 2v2 kicking off down there. Junglers will be pathing away from this bot side going towards top side. And I do believe that's going to say first Mbessa jungle.
Yep. It's not only just here in the LPL, but ever. No one else has played it in a Tier 1 region. So exciting stuff here in the last game of this series and last game that RNG will play in 2025. So I have to imagine, though, that I'm kind of looking at the clear. How is this guy faster than... he's like keeping on pace with Lilia. Yes, she has a lot of mobility and a lot of her spells are AoE, but damn.
Milky Way's in the lab, bro. He's been cooking.
Sure.
Jungle pets. Yeah.
Jungle pets have been OP. That is true.
Yes.
Now a little bit of trouble. And top side. Oh, ZDZ's
wow.
got his angle, and Xiaoxu will end up walking away. ZDZ felt like he let him live there. Obviously, Leap Strike and Flash still available on both sides.
All right, then. Maybe it should have been a Jax jungle.
Maybe. Who knows? Into the Renekton, though, that sounds pretty miserable, right? Like, that's one of the more classic matchups, so...
Yep.
counter matchups for Mbessa, so... Maybe you're right. Maybe we should have just tanked the Mbessa matchup and said, hey, let's just put the Jax in the jungle here for Milky Way. ZDZ still has not recalled. I don't think this is ever a real gank, but you already see that Tangyuan. This is also a fake fight. There's no way we're looking for this right now.
All right, we're going to see the fight. And it goes away Milky Way there, too. So he's going to secure it, but now he's in trouble. Yeah, Angel's got his number. The flash out, the Conqueror proc, but he didn't even get the damage off with it. And first blood goes to EDG.
Flabber would say that's worth. Yeah.
True.
Damn. Damn. Maybe. Also, double buffs going over to Angel. That's that feels very bad because Tangyuan's like, what the hell did I do? I just got I came over to help you, and now I lose double buffs to my mid to enemy mid. He's gonna walk up and hit me. He'll have infinite sustain in the lane. So let's see what EDG is able to do with this mid priority that they should have now with this Azir.
Seeing the gank potential from Milky Way. He's trying to stay active. He's going to look on bot side now. JiaQi and Niket trying to go in a little bit early. They get the headbutt onto Wink. He's out of the fight now and in trouble. Flash coming out. Wink in trouble now too as well. He's going to go down. Milky Way gets the response play there. Now Niket getting low, gets the flash out of On. On will get the kill. Swirl Sleep does go a little bit wide. Xiaohao won't be able to follow up, but maybe using the speed up here as Milky Way wants to fight. Milky Way has a lot of skirmish potential, and Milky Way finds another kill. That's going to be 2 already for the Ambessa jungle.
This is looking to be one of our more interesting games, right? Definitely the closest start to the game so far, I think. Also, shout outs to Milky Way in this one, because I think when you have lanes like this that are basically losing at least push across the board, you put a lot of pressure on your jungler to make something happen, and he's definitely done that for sure with a great deal of success in this case.
He does a hell of a lot of damage right now. Like we're just seeing him like do just an insane amount to EDG's bottom lane there, and honestly, while he's at least trying to keep Xiaohao honest. Milky Way's got to be careful. Yeah, he's dead. All right. What I was gonna say is that by constantly just being in the river, and despite him going down, he is trying to keep pace with Lilia and keep Xiaohao honest as EDG, because you do not want this Lilia to kind of start to take off in the farm department.
They're going to look top lane now as well. Try to get a gank on the Xiaoxu. Under turret. Counter-strike's already down. Now they get the CC chain in, and Wink is the one that gets the kill. Not exactly where you want the gold, but EDG come out with the gank.
Yep. And just taking kind of some of the agency from... Oh. Alright. False alarm. Taking some of the agency from what happened in the bot lane, and Wink really recognizing that roam timer. I think... I flamed the early Alistar pick a little bit, but Wink historically has been a star on that Alistar champion. And then also just identifying this timer here is maybe, depending on how EDG do, early candidate for an MVP.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wink. I was surprised that Kelsey was doing any kind of negative bias towards this guy anyway. So we're making the rounds. We're making the rounds on this one.
Yeah, there you go. But this is a setup where, I mean, you have to talk about the history between these organizations. I mean, this is over a decade-long rivalry between these two. Like, Kelsey, is there anything you want to bring up about these two? I know we've already talked about favorite memories, but there's a lot of history between these two orgs.
Oh yeah, I think it's super interesting just how much weight and emphasis that you all put on bot lane as well, because I think it's really what made these matchups exciting, right? Historically. You had Uzi, and then like Name was one of the big 80 carries in 2014. Then you had Deft coming over, and it was always about bot lane, right, between these guys. So I think it's very interesting to see that emphasis again, and that's really what descended these games.
I'm surprised that RNG decided to walk up right there as that double swirl seed connects. Xiaohao just pulls the trigger, and that'll be the dragon going to EDG as well.
I think that was very adventurous. I like that kind of look coming in from EDG. It was literally just a single swirl seed landing onto 2 of them. You get the cleanse out from JiaQi, but the lilting lullaby still comes out. So really good look coming in from EDG. Got to be worried though from RNG with both of our junglers hitting level 6. The public execution opens up such a big play for them. Oh,
okay. On in trouble now. Milky Way finds his purchase yet again, getting the kill to JiaQi.
He does so much damage right now. He's going for the Eclipse first item, and this is what I was worrying about. Milky Way is going to basically be playing a normal Ambessa game, but probably going to be a little weaker than usual. I know we were talking about some of his combat prowess earlier, and he'll be able to farm the jungle very quickly, but because of how jungle is situated right now, especially carry junglers, I'm worried a little bit about how RNG are going to be able to actually delegate resources in this game. Just by the way of, like, you have an Aurelion Soul, you have a Sivir, like, someone's going to have to pick up all this farm. Aurelion Soul's more willing to give up gold just because as long as you're killing stuff in his E, he'll still get Stardust. But he's going to basically be like a backline assassin in a lot of these games.
I am curious because when you talk about the scaling, right, you do have the range coming out of the Corki, but you also just have the range from the Aesol. You have, and then of course on the other end, you would just have so much scaling power in general. So I think, like, if RNG are playing a semi-competitive game, like, they're still just gonna stay in, even with a gold lead. Especially if all the gold is going on Ambessa, right, which is the character that you really needed to go on early. I think they're in a really good spot right now.
I like it. It's a little bit of setup for a game 3 now that means a lot for EDG to end up winning. But really wanting to find a final game win for both sides. RNG could do something really funny, obviously, to bow out of 2025 on a win against EDG. Keep that better record that they have and the longevity of the history of the organization. Engage now coming in onto Angel. He's in trouble. Is going to get out for a little while, but Tangyuan will end up killing him. So we're evening up here as just about an 800 gold lead for EDG now.
Can we talk about how different this series has been? Like game 1, I'm having Angel absolutely gap the living hell out of Tangyuan and the rest of this RNG crew. And then game 2, I'm watching Angel just like, he's getting bodied by Ornn mid. He's getting just raw dog solo killed by Aurelion Sol as Azir. This is, at least we're starting to see a bit of a glow up in this series, especially Tangyuan historically, I think here in the LPL, has not had the best of time playing in, older formats, and even talking about him last year, right? He was the worst rated player, the lowest rated player on Hoopu, which is pretty impressive all things considered.
Yeah, and I think
perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think Angel's had his ups and downs as well.
For sure.
So I think it's a very worthy matchup. Oh.
Okay. Got the CC on the ZVZ. He's still a big croc. Unfortunately, Xiaoxu did not get the memo. We're trying to push the wave there. Still going to keep 3 top. This is very scary for ZVZ. He popped the dominance. Going to try to build that rage bar. Looks like RNG don't want it.
Ooh. JiaQi even used his ultimate, so they were prepping a 3-man dive. That'll be no one picking up that wave. ZDZ maybe not knowing if there was a public execution up and available for RNG, but instead JiaQi uses that to rotate from the bottom lane to catch this mid wave. Tangyuan's going to catch this bottom wave now, so RNG playing the map a little bit better here, and at least trying to, they're coming up trumps when it comes to some of these spells being used by EDG.
Yep, and I think not only did we pop the dominance for Renekton to clear the wave, right, and sort of stall the pressure, but Angel hovering topside a little bit probably also helps. So even if you're giving up some pressure on the map for RNG to rotate, you're at least keeping your structures in place when RNG are allocating so many resources to secure control.
Oh, we also didn't talk about this because this was just during one of a different set of plays, but EDG did also get the only set of grubs in this game, so any alone time they get on these turrets is really going to help them. I know that we've been keeping an eye on the scaling of this game, and that'll be a conversation as we go later, but any time that EDG is actually able to hit on turrets with this Azir and this Corki is going to turn into a pretty big advantage for them, especially with plates falling in about a minute and a half's time.
And I'm sure that Nashor's Tooth is going to be coming along for Angel at some point, and that will be very hard to deal with when it comes to Turret Siege, as we are getting set up for another Dragon. This will be second Dragon for EDG. We have to think, though, maybe RNG okay with giving this one over. This would end up being the feats of strength going the way of EDG, though. Oh, they're just going to get it? All right.
Yeah.
Well, the Dragon goes down. Feats of strength secured. Second Dragon in a row for EDG. Full neutral objective control so far from them.
Yeah. And if we talk about how these comps work, right, we addressed the range issue. I also think RNG they want to play collapse. Whenever you have a Sivir and some short range champions, you need to press R to kind of close the gap between the Corki, the Azir, the Lilia, who are just masters of kiting in some sense. So if you don't have good vision of the area, you're fine maybe sending that dragon away and then looking for a fight where the collapse is easier to execute.
Chelsea, may I just offer, instead of using the On the Hunt, simply land one of the worst hitboxes of all time in the FSO?
That works. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Simply just win.
We're in
It's a time-tested strategy. Just win. Simply hit your buttons better than your opponents.
Die less. Get more kills.
Yeah. A famous Smash or FGC proverb is "Don't get hit."
Yeah.
Right. So.
Just win lol is a good league one. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Easy peasy.
We're going through some great strategy here with between the two of us here. So, For EDG, they got 3 grubs. They got the first 2 dragons. So, again, kind of talking about objective control. EDG, throughout this season, look at their stats, have been a lot better at being able to control the heralds and the dragons of the game. And RNG much more focused on more of the structures and kind of the finding more kills early on. So, right now, EDG, though, you're seeing another Hextech Soul potentially on the cards for them in about 10 minutes time. So let's see if they're able to actually utilize that now with a Herald spawning. You always have to be wondering as RNG, okay, they have 3 grubs, we have to be able to contest, but I see absolutely no vision from RNG in this river.
Yeah, man, that's a little bit of trouble here setting up, but right now it looks like RNG is getting their ask of things and letting things calm down, keep that scaling going at least. If that's going to be the promised land that they end up going out on, I think they are still in an okay position for that. So time is starting to tick away. They're moving together. They do have that Sky's Descend. They want to try to get a dive, but they were on full vision going through that river.
Yep.
Ooh, ooh.
I saw 2 people get hit. Last time that happened, they got a dragon. Okay, Lennon?
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Rift Herald is going to go the way of EDG, though. The continued full objective dominance from EDG will be there. Oh, you wanted to go for the fight.
Tangyuan has the upgraded ultimate. I don't know why we're not at least like trying. Niket has been, I'll be honest, kind of just sitting next to JiaQi a lot of this game. We need to see him out on the map. Part of the reason why EDG are getting all this vision, all this priority is Wink moving around the map, clearing out vision with his jungler, and so it is hard for RNG to actually walk over. They used all of this time. They gave over the Herald to the team with 3 grubs so that Xiaoxu on this Jax can hit this bottom lane tier 1. I don't know if this is necessarily worth it, especially with the fact that they're just going to be able to answer this very easily, and they can just decide to give on all this gold if they really want to.
Alternatively, right?
Yeah.
Oh, if
Oh.
oh,
They're going to bring 4 down here. They're going to try to take milkyway down. He's a little bit slippery of a fish, though. They might go on to Niket instead. They get the double re-engage from RNG, but now they're in trouble as well. Double lilting lullaby going to come out from Xiaohao as he puts them to sleep. Xiaoxu will be in trouble. Sky's Descend coming down. Here it comes from Tangyuan, but it's only going to get one of the knockers. He hasn't actually used it just yet, and not going to go for that full trigger pull. He's still holding on to it. And see if they actually want to do anything after that one. But they did end up getting first turret off the back of that play from Xiaoxu.
they did get first turret, no feats, and they brought all of EDG's pressure to bot lane so that Xiaoxu gets to rotate early to top, right? So that's something. It lets them kind of start the seesaw motion, which was very difficult for them in terms of map control because they basically had no prio lanes early. So getting out, I think, is a big win for them.
Yeah. They do end up trading some summoner spells, right? EDG no longer have any other teleports. Same thing for RNG, but big winners, I think, is the fact that On no longer has his flash, and milkyway did have to use his. So hopefully we see a little bit more coming out from RNG. Again, saving this Sky's Descend has been upgraded for a long time. You get more copies of them as the game goes on if you're able to get more Stardust. So it's going to be the Dragon starter here, and Xiaoxu will be on a flank. There are still missing ultimates here from EDG.
Tangyuan is the big caller here. They're going to focus on the Dragon, though. Niket getting low, being poked down, has to go out of the fight now. Dragon, 50-50. It goes the way of Xiaohao. He's going to take that 3rd Dragon of the game. Going to flash out of milkyway's public execution as well. Now ZDZ has a really good angle on the other side of things. Wink goes in for the fight, and On has that Gatling gun spinning away with Angel right behind him. The Emperor's Call ready to go from EDG as they take the Dragon and now maybe take the Cat too, as they're going to chase him down. Angel has the angle on him, and he will just be carved up for a little bit of dinner for EDG.
Okay, well, that'll be EDG now. Again, 4 grubs still. They use that Herald in bottom side so they can open up another turret. They're trying to go for this mid-tier 1. Don't think that's going to happen on this wave. And, well, Lennon and Kelsey, we are now 19.5 minutes into this game, and there is a potential for a soul in 4 minutes' time for Edward Gaming. Not looking too good. We have seen a lack of proactivity for RNG as this game has gone on, and we saw some early movements from them, but I think a lack of a trigger pull, I guess we'll kind of see here. Tangyuan's positioning is going to be really interesting to me just because he doesn't really kind of stop the opponents from getting in, and Niket actually takes way too much damage before this fight goes off.
Yeah. I was going to say, just contrary, I mean, counterpoint, Niket taking like a lot of the engaged CC, like EDG engaging onto them and the follow-up not being too extreme, just let RNG kind of hold position and maintain control pretty easily. And by RNG I mean EDG, obviously. But I think in general, what I'm looking at now is just the Soul win condition is huge because we talked about RNG scaling. But if EDG are getting Hextech Soul at 24 minutes, like you said, that's massive.
It is. As RNG now looking to potentially force the hand over onto the Atacon. Could be very interesting to do, but never without thought of it. We'll be getting EDG's pressure up towards topside to remove some of this vision, place some of their own. We're getting closer and closer to second items. On already having completed his, but waiting for that evolve coming through.
JiaQi is close to hitting 2 items here. He has a Cloak of Agility and then the rest of the combined cost, so he's sitting like 1,300 gold away, not including however much gold he has in his inventory. Kind of looking at it right now, and while second items are starting to come through for almost everybody, I am most intrigued about what we are going to get between our 2 mid laners here. They're kind of the marquee matchup going into today. Obviously 2 mid laners that have played for RNG in the past, especially for Tangyuan being kind of the new franchisee player for this team after Xiaohao ended up leaving. So I think Tangyuan has a pretty big burden on his shoulders. Again, we know that RNG is already done for the rest of the year, but kind of ending on a win, and I feel like trying to rewrite some of the last couple years of his performance here on the Cerulean Soul.
Yeah, sometimes that can be all the difference, right? The last series that we see of these players for the remaining months is going to be the impression that they leave for off season, right? New roster builds, all those things. And so a win here, you know, might seem inconsequential to viewers right now, but if we have the most insane ASOL angles that turn the game, then suddenly maybe org owners, GMs remember that from Tangyuan, and he ends up in a strong starting position next year.
Hell, not even just next year, maybe even split 3, right? Like,
True.
Fair enough.
These guys could be competing for active spots in the league
Yeah,
for teams that are trying to make some movements. So
I'm just wondering how, like, I mean, it's obviously a can of worms to even think about it, but like how that all works out. Are they still under contract? Are they able to look for other teams? Like, you're literally not
considering
playing
the rumors,
until the next
I don't
year.
think there's much contracts holding a lot of these RNG players back. So
But
we'll
can
see.
you believe, like, I guess more so focused on RNG of things, but the fact that RNG and OMG are the first 2 teams to be eliminated this early in the LPL in like the history, right? Like, that's so crazy, Kelsey.
Yep, it's absolutely insane. 2013 was technically the very first year of LPL. 2013 was OMG and RNG's year, right? The fact that OMG and RNG are removed now in the most recent year of LPL for the rest of the year is something that is almost unfathomable, right? I think. Oh, here's some.
So,
TP.
okay, the reason why I'm like question mark pinging
Yep.
right now is because Tangyuan, really smart when they were playing around the grubs there, or the Krugs, he wanted to make sure that he gets the Stardust. So as long as you're with the Aurelian Soul, anything that dies inside it gets you.
All in. Going
Angel?
to Angel now. They don't
Okay.
get him in the end. Emperor's Divide comes away. The skies have descended, but is it going to be enough? RNG looking for the kills, have sustained damage. Tangyuan has been untouched. He's
They
getting the
sleep,
resets
though.
himself, but on coming through as well. Double kill already there for Xiaohao. He's dancing all over them. Tangyuan now breathing light all over EDG, but ZDZ wants him. He tries to get him, but can't get in the distance. But JiaQi, he has gone too far. The flash play comes through. Xiaohao finds another kill. I'm pretty sure he got 3 or 4 of them in that fight. And that will be Tangyuan slinking away while Xiaohao secures the soul.
That's got to be the backbreaker there. That fight was so close for them. This Jack's still feeling pretty lost. The fact that we couldn't get this maybe there's a little bit more, but I think really what's going to happen here is that EDG, they're going to go ahead and take this dragon, they're going to reset, use the portals, and then look for the Otacon or even the Baron spawning in 20 seconds.
Well, let's take a look at this replay. I think the fight just starts out really strong for them, right? Niket gets the initial engage. We have the Sky's Descent coming out. Absolutely looks like it should be a winning position because Tangyuan untouched, pretty free to damage, but I think he's splitting off here to go for the support. They're just not what you want to see.
And then just kind of using some of his spells. I still like this from Tangyuan. He actually is just staying in his W, so while he's in flight, the Q gets a bit more damage. And then you're able to really kind of put down as much as you can with this Aurelion Soul. Still some options here, yes. This is EDG with 3 grubs. This is EDG now with a Hextech Soul. This is going to help them be able to combat some of the infinite measures that an Aurelion Soul has, and hopefully EDG are going to be able to utilize some of this damage right now because this game does not get easier for them in here, and they have to continue to maintain this. They're only 3,000 gold up, and I mean, Tangyuan is basically your last-ditch effort if you are Royal to give up.
Oh, there's the Sky's Descent coming through as well as the reproc goes in. Angel is already down. Niket found the kill there. Wink going to be soon to join him as Tangyuan takes him out. And back onto the Baron they go.
Okay.
They could burn this down pretty quickly. It just spawned about a minute ago.
Wow. All right, let's see if EDG can come in. I think they still have some tools to make things happen. Niket being in position to zone
too
here.
late. Baron's already going to go down. EDG, no response. It's a little bit slow on the back take. But RNG will end up taking that objective.
And they couldn't push mid because of Xiaoxu, so good job coming in from the top laner of RNG to help keep this wave pushed. It's still probably going to be this mid lane tier 1, but at least wasting EDG's time. Again, they still had these 3 grubs, so could have went down a lot quicker there. And EDG, they don't even have time to actually go for the Otacon because there's these Hextech portals. Milkyway getting right in. This was on vision. Angel and Wink knew this was happening, or knew this could have potentially been an answer, as well as also seeing from the tri-brush where Tangyuan was. So 2 kills going over, that's the Baron. EDG now with the Soul and looking for the Thornbound Otacon. Look at where RNG are right now. With the Baron, they're going to just try to barrel down mid and say, we do not care that you have this damage buff. You have to first kill us to get any kind of use out of it.
See if they can re-collapse over this. Oh, the Blast Cone. Maybe the Blast Cone of Doom right there.
Oh.
Niket going to get pushed back, but that push in mid lane still going to be there. Otacon secured, so they'll have that lasting buff, but as well as the team fight damage once they start getting kills. Xiaoxu will take that side lane turret tier 2. So that'll be some nice gold pickup there, and the lead is fluctuating back and forth. But one thing that's not is that 3-minute timer on the Elder Dragon.
And I think Xiaoxu right now is slowly scaling into being potentially a star of an RNG comeback win, because it's very difficult to deal with him on the side. And while all of this was happening, but while they got the pick, while they were playing for the Baron, he was still just banging away at the bot lane turrets and keeping that away. So now EDG have to address the map differential on the bot side, while RNG can reclaim some of that top side control and then just keep EDG guessing like that.
RNG just got 3 turrets.
Yeah,
really
they did.
quickly, by the way.
Flipped
And
the
they're
gold
not the
lead.
team with grubs. They just barely got Baron. They're utilizing this comp. I mean, they hit 3 items on their carries. This is the part of the draft that we were talking about. Like, hey, we get to like 30, 35 minutes, and RNG might be a bit scary to kind of face. We're seeing them group around this top side right now. I think they are losing a little bit of effectiveness, but by bouncing between these 2 waves, with Sivir getting mid-priority, RNG are starting to pull EDG around the map.
Okay, we'll see Wink getting a little bit caught here, though. Sky's Descent is available. Depth Charge will not be. That's a big ultimate engage tool for EDG, but things will whittle down now. Nothing else going to come of it. Still that looming clock timer coming through, though.
This could be another tier 1 for RNG, depending on how EDG react here. Looks like they will play to defend it, though.
See now as they try to reposition, get this redeploy going out. Oh, Xiaoxu extending a little bit there. Nah, nothing else coming in. There's a lot of pressure from RNG up towards this top side to get this outer turret before the fight's kick off. He can't get it. Oh,
Bro.
no. Oh, goodness.
He has Counter-Strike. He should have just stepped up. I mean, like, just take a little bit of damage. Take the turret. You have the Demolish proc. Hell, just get your gold right now. Help your team finish off some global gold, but we've got an Elder spawning in a minute's time. Kelsey, we talked about the fact that it wouldn't be an Elder or a Nirvana game if we didn't have an Elder fight. So, looks like EDG and RNG with this last game of the series with some of their fates already consigned are going to be looking towards this Elder, the big equalizer in this game.
Yep, and like we said, you know, we have a little bit of setup here. I think they delayed Xiaoxu's recall, so that's something that EDG have for them, so they can kind of contest this vision line a little bit as the Elder spawns. We'll see if they can put the Hex Tech to good use.
And you have to remember how much is on the line here. EDG need a win here. Like, right, you want to make it into that play-in, and you want to do it your way. A win here does guarantee that for you. And RNG, they might be done, but they could take down one of their premier rivals in the LPL for the history of the league here as they go to take the fight now. It's still Tangyuan we're looking at. He has the skies to send. As the skies open up, JiaQi is going down. Xiaohao finds the solo pick there as he's in the midst of everybody. He's in trouble now. He still gets the one kill.
Oh, no,
Maybe even looking for the triple. Xiaohao finds two. He's looking for
wow.
a third. Xiaohao, he's going insane. Get this man a team because he's got a triple kill.
Well, they don't even need the Otacon anymore. They've got three. They've got three grubs. Can we go for a little bit more? They're going to try and open up the base here. Angel's going to look for a teleport, and that might just be the end of the game here, the end of the series for EDG.
The end of the legacy, really, for RNG as well here in 2025. EDG putting the screws to him one last time. One last-ditch effort. RNG got it to 3, but EDG will deal lasting damage to RNG's base.
We have to get the Elder first, though. That's important.
Yep.
Yeah.
True. That's the checklist. You know, Wing, Angel, they're saying, guys, Elder, let's go take the Elder, and then we can worry about ending this game. Baron will spawn in 30 afterwards, but EDG doing a victory lap now. They'll get the Elder, they'll take their resets, and maybe there's a re-engage. RNG are teleporting for this.
No, they tried to. They don't get there in time. Elder is now secured. You have to be really careful at the back of that fight now. Dominus had been popped by ZDZ.
Yep, they should get this bot wave real quick. Yep. And then rotating to top side, and they should be in position for ban.
Dude, Xiaohao is a monster.
I mean, the fight is just
absolutely.
split here. Like, one of them is on, 2 of them are on the entrance into mid, 3 of them are on the entrance ramp into red side jungle. Like, the fight is already split, and then who else is actually dealing with Xiaohao, right? Like, there's no actual crowd control. This ultimate from the Aurelian Soul just doesn't actually provide all that much. I feel bad for Xiaoxu and milkyway. This is actually a great flank from Xiaoxu, but between him and milkyway, they don't actually have enough damage nor crowd control to really stick on anybody from EDG.
But
I want to be excited for Xiaohao, so, you know, we're going to
He also
focus on
showed
the
off the
1v3.
Spirit Blossom stuff really nicely with the Atacon take. Each one of those explosions actually paying off.
Yep.
The slows. We love reading patch notes. Great job, Xiaohao.
We read patch notes. We're playing against Milky Way. You know, we get the 1v3.
Yes, exactly that. But as EDG try to get this last push in here, see them get this turret, no contest. RNG saying it's going to be at the Nexus or nothing. As there goes that top lane inhib as well. This push still alive for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. The Baron buff still aplenty for EDG. One final time, this rivalry goes down. One final time, EDG are able to put down RNG in a 3-game series. Like you said, always going the distance, Kelsey. But nonetheless, EDG are looking on to better things. A win here gets them into that playoff play-in, and they want to make sure it sits just right as they look one last time onto this engage. They go for it. RNG, they feel their fleeting hopes going to an end. They try to get this backline access now, but that Elder Dragon, it is just flapping. As now Tangyuan has reset. They got the kills, but the Nexus is down. EDG, they find the win over their rival in RNG, and RNG will be bid adieu for the rest of 2025.
And with those 2 wins, EDG move up to 9-4, which means that they are now locked in for a spot into play-ins for playoffs for Split 2.
And finally, Clearlove can say, you know, I'm looking forward to the next series and not have to waste his time regretting not setting RNG enough. Oh, man.
Milkyway and ZDZ, they had a short stint together.
Yep.
Nice to see them go through it, give it a little bit of love. Obviously, I don't even know how to begin to think as a pro player. Obviously, I've never been one, but even this, like from the outside perspective, what the hell do you do now that you're done for half a year? Maybe ask Mimi. Maybe Mimi knows.
Mimi, look, one of the best orgs in LPL history is getting eliminated. Wow.
Oh,
she does
no.
not care. It's okay. She's just like EDG.
Care.
She doesn't care.
True.
I mean, historically, EDG has been a dog org, you know?
Oh,
so
true.
They,
There's a lot of orgs
fans.
that have dogs, though. There's a ton of
is.
orgs that have, like, we have Bowie for,
Weibo has a cat.
Oh,
Yeah.
true!
Yeah.
BLG.
Yeah. Though, you know, when we're
Nice.
talking about EDG and RNG, though, it is the dog team actually is technically RNG, and the pig team is technically EDG. You know, fun fact.
Wow.
Now we're
I
getting,
didn't know that.
we're getting into the deep,
Yeah,
deep stuff.
now we're
here.
going in the deep lore because it's Uzi who is the mad dog, and then Clearlove. That story might be too long to tell here, but all of his followers were known as pigs. Yeah. So whenever EDG and
hasn't
RNG
changed
played,
context at all in the recent
Not
history
at all.
of the last 5
No,
years
no, no.
whatsoever. Yep. Mhm.
well, he may have
Absolutely
told another pro player to go raise pigs, and people thought that that was a very funny comeback and not at all weird, right?
Well,
So yeah.
you know, we saw BLG after World Finals this year go down into the jungle. Maybe we get RNG visiting the farm for a little bit after today.
Oh, that's
But,
so unfortunate, but it's so true. Again, RNG done for the year. Do you have any last reprieves for RNG here, Kelsey? I know you used to give eulogies. Do we want to give a classic KMC eulogy to RNG?
I mean, I would need the template, but in general, I mean, I think when I think about RNG, it's just so many good things have come to the LPL for that. I don't know. I may have missed something, but
No, your camera. You're doing
camera,
the
yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Do
I just stand here? I think.
Yep,
No,
just
you-
keep going on your rant. Just keep going.
There we go. That's good for the screenshot. Continue with your eulogy.
No, I think when you think about RNG, they've given so much joy to LPL viewers over the years, and it's a little unfortunate to see RNG and EDG like that. I had the opportunity to talk to one of their marketing leads earlier this year, and he basically just said that it's very difficult to compete with like the JDGs, the Weibos, these corporations in acquiring like the really strong players. And I think that's something that RNG hasn't really been able to field a roster that can compete in the past. I think some of their most successful rosters historically have been budget rosters. They just couldn't make it work for them this time. I think EDG probably learned a lot from last year, and they've gotten to a point where they're slowly climbing up. You know, I'm really excited to see what this team can do in play-in. Maybe they can surprise a few people against the TTs or the NIPs. Though NIP's been looking up, so maybe we'll see who ends up with them in the trenches.
Yeah, for the Group Nirvana, so they would most likely be facing off against the 5th and 6th place team as for seeding. So there's a high likelihood that they're going to be playing against any combination of like a JDG, IG, Weibo, maybe an FPX if they make a pretty dastardly run at the end of the season. But I think this was kind of the expected outcome. I know we had some question marks coming out of game number 2, and I know that this draft had some curveballs thrown our way with first time Mbessa jungle. But kind of sucks to see that we're seeing RNG go out with kind of a whimper here in game number 3. And excited, hopefully, that now EDG, they have at least 2 weeks before those play-ins start. It's going to be a single best of 5 to determine if you make it into playoffs. And so hopefully they're able to really dedicate a lot of their energy towards making sure that they can be very competitive for that series.
And you think about it, right? There's so many disadvantages for the team in Group Nirvana, but that time where you just get to watch Group Ascend finish out and study and maybe scrim some LCK challengers teams, some LCK teams, whoever will scrim you, and really prepare for that could give us a completely different EDG going into that play-in stage.
That's true.
It could. Who, I guess I'll ask both of you, who would you say is kind of that big focus on the team going into those that next series, whatever it may be in that playoff play-in? Who would you give the
Kelsey?
star to?
The star for EDG?
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
if you had to give away like a, one of those cheesy little stars you give to kids. I don't know.
I mean, I may be biased, but I think I'm still on the Wink train. I think when bot lane succeeds for EDG is when they're doing well, and a lot of that comes from Wink's agency, his ability to also take those winning lanes and make plays around the map. So that's what I'm looking for them to open up more going into the play-in and see if they can give themselves an opportunity to make playoffs.
Yeah, I think I would generally agree with that. Just I'm a little bit worried about their 2v2 performance. I know we saw it here in game number 2, but also there have been games in the past, like some of On's Draven games, where I think that the 2v2 hasn't gone necessarily their way for one reason or another. But it definitely feels like it has to either be Wink or one of these pairs for like the mid jungle. I know that Angel kind of takes like a more facilitator role, especially on this team, and so maybe we get to see a little bit more from a player like Xiaohao. But also, there's just going to be a very big patch change, right? Like, they're going to be gone for at least one patch cycle, maybe 2, depending on how fast we get these. So this will be maybe a very different meta going into the playoffs.
Could be. I got to ask one last thing. I know we're going to be wrapping up here soon, getting the MVP going, but then maybe on the more somber note, who do you say needs to maybe get picked